Hi, welcome to Nina in the Kitchen, where today I'm making a sweet roll that my niece Danielle created. And I'm telling you, these rolls are so amazing. In fact, I think I'll call them amazing sweet rolls. They are so delicious. The aroma is incredible and they go together like that. So let's get started. I have 3 cups of flour in here, 5 tablespoons of butter, which is room temperature and unsalted. I have 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt. She didn't specify in the recipe that she sent to me, but that's what I used. And when I tested this, and it was delicious. And this is 2 tablespoons of baking powder with 1/4 cup of granulated sugar and 1 cup of milk. Then over here we have the filling. This is 8 tablespoons of melted butter. And I'm going to pour, in fact, I'll just do that right now. I have, let me see, what did she write here? 2 tablespoons of pumpkin spice, 2 cups of brown sugar. Now you can use white sugar, and she used a mixture of Splenda and white sugar, but I like the flavor of brown sugar. So that's what I'm going with. Oh, and I'm sorry, there's also 1 teaspoon of almond extract. And usually a teaspoon of almond extract is a lot of almond flavor, but you know what? It works in here. It's so delicious. So there you have it. That is the filling. That's done. I'm just going to set that aside. And then in the food processor, now if you don't have a food processor, I'm going to write the recipes so that you'll have directions to do this by hand in a bowl, which is where you just mix it, or you use your fingertips to work the fat into the flour, but I'm going to cut it in with the processor. The other thing I'm going to add to the recipe is how to blend your own spice mix for the pumpkin spice. And I will add that recipe to the bottom of the recipe on my blog. I have the flour in the processor. I'm going to add all of the dry ingredients. So the baking powder, salt, the granulated sugar, and then I'm just going to pulse this a couple of times and just to mix it. In goes the butter. And the milk. Now this dough is sort of like a, not really biscuit dough. I think of it as like an Irish soda bread sort of a dough. So I'm going to turn it out onto a floured board. Then you just bring all of this dough together. So if you were to make this by hand, totally by hand, when you turn your dough out, you just have to clump it together like that. And I'm not kneading it really, I'm just sort of pushing it together to make sure that it's one cohesive piece. And it might feel a little crumbly, and that's okay, because the more that you work this dough, the tougher it's going to be. So crumbly is all right because it'll work out in the end. It'll work itself out in the oven. So now from here, I want to keep this in sort of a rectangular shape. I'm keeping my flour close by. Put a little dusting here. And I'm just going to roll this out into a 16 by 12 inch square. And that's going to give you about 1/4 inch of dough in thickness. Let me just clean up and get rid of some of these items for a moment, and I'll be back. Okay, well, I cleaned up my little mess, and now I'm just going to roll this dough out. One of the things that I love about this dough is that, and the reason it goes together so fast, is that this isn't a yeast dough, and I would never think to make sweet rolls without a yeast bread, but she did it, and man, she did a good job at it. So I just have a couple more inches to go here, and we're there. In Danielle's directions, for this recipe. She says that she has an 18 cup muffin tin. I don't. Mine is 12. If you have 18, you just cut this into 18 pieces, and I would lower the temp to 375. What I'm doing is I'm cooking this baking this, I should say, at 400, and it'll take 15 to 18 minutes. So if your dough gets out of shape, like this one is getting a little ragged looking, can you see that? What I do is I just take a blade and you just sort of push it into place and it'll go for you. It doesn't have to be perfect, but because we're using the ends here, 1 more inch. Because we're using this all the way up to the end, I'd like it to be a little even. Okay, that ought to do it. Perfect. So 16 by 12. So now you can see the consistency of this. If it starts getting too cold on you, just heat it up a little bit. In your microwave is fine, just for a few seconds. And the first thing we're going to do, and by the way, I've prepped my muffin tin with just some baking spray. And we're going to put about a tablespoon of filling in the bottom of each cup. And the rest of the filling is going to go onto the dough. You can smooth this out with a spatula. An offset spatula is probably the best tool to use for this. But whatever you have, you can use the back of a spoon. I'm using an offset spatula to do this. It's just, I find the best tool for the job. And this is a great multitasker, so it's worth having one just hanging around in your kitchen. You never know when you're going to need it. What Danielle's directions say is to spread the filling out and leave a 1/2 inch border all around the edges. And that looks pretty even. So now I'm going to use my bench scraper and just make sure that I can lift this, that it's not sticking. And that feels pretty good. So I'm going to start rolling. You start at first of all, when you do this rectangle, the longest edge should be facing you, and you're just going to roll it up and just keep going. And now this last little edge, I just dab a little bit of water on here with my fingertips. Nothing fancy, you just want to make sure that that edge will stick. And you just kind of press it into place. All right. And now, probably the best tool to cut this with is either dental floss, which you can just kind of go right through, or a serrated knife. And the best way to cut things evenly is to measure it. I have a stainless steel ruler here. So I'm going to measure, and I'll cut right in the middle. You just cut this in half again, and then into thirds. And these stainless rulers are great to have. What's nice about this is you can wash these, but you can also see them clearly on any surface. Okay, so these just go into the oven. This will take 15 to 18 minutes, and I'll see you then. These just came out of the oven, and they're a little on the light side of golden, but the aroma in this kitchen, I'm telling you, if for no other reason than having this aroma in your home, you have to make these. They're fabulous. But so here's what I'm doing, is I'm just going to test this with a toothpick and make sure that it's clean, and it is. So these are done. I'm just going to flip these out onto a cooling rack. let's flip these over. So now the bottom becomes the top, right? And I forgot about this part, but there is a glaze that is part of this recipe. And I'll make that just as soon as these cool. I'm going to give them about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and hopefully they'll be cool enough that we can dig into them, because, woo, I can't wait. This is the glaze. I have a 1/4 cup of milk, 1/2 cup of powdered sugar, and I'm going to put 1/8 of a teaspoon of almond extract in there. Just carry that flavor through, which is a good idea. And I'm going to pour the milk in slowly, because anytime that you have a dry ingredient like flour, or in this case powdered sugar, what happens is the climate in your home can change how much milk you need, how much liquid you need, I should say. So yes, that's pretty thin already, and I've only used a couple tablespoons, but that's okay. I have more powdered sugar. I'm just going to beef this up a little bit, and then we drizzle, and then we eat. I just added another couple of tablespoons to this, and yeah, that looks pretty good. You just kind of drizzle and drizzle and drizzle, because more is better. I'm just going to start pouring it. When it comes to mixing powdered sugar with a liquid, you have to be patient, take your time, because what seems like an impossible amount of powdered sugar going into your liquid doesn't seem like it's going to work, but look at this, it's perfect. So, oh. This went together very fast. Let me just slide this out of the way and get these babies over here. Danielle, you are a rock star. Oh man, these are good. And you know, you can add nuts, you can add fruit. But they are fabulous just like this. Goes together quickly, great project with your kids. Get in the kitchen and make these. By the end of the week, I'm telling you, you're going to want to do that. And thank you so much for watching. You can follow me here on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest. I think that's it. All right. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you. Bye.